The rain had just begun to fall when Emily wheeled herself into the small cafe on the corner of Maple Street. It was the first time in months she had gone out for something other than therapy or groceries. Her hands trembled slightly on the wheels of her chair as she looked around, her heart pounding, not from the effort of movement, but from the anticipation of something she hadn't dared to hope for again: love. Her online date, a man named Ryan, had seemed kind. They had talked for weeks, about books, music, dreams, and pain. Emily hadn't told him everything, only that she had an accident years ago and was still recovering. She hadn't said she couldn't walk. Tonight, she wanted to be seen not as the woman in the wheelchair, but just as Emily, the artist, the dreamer, the woman with laughter still hiding somewhere deep inside her. She adjusted her scarf, glancing at the time. 7:05. He was late, but that was fine. Maybe the rain had slowed him down. She ordered a cup of hot chocolate and sat by the window, watching people run by under umbrellas. Her heart flickered with hope when the bell above the cafe door rang. But it wasn't Ryan. It was a man in a tailored suit, holding the tiny hand of a little girl in a pink coat. The man looked like someone straight out of a magazine, confident, handsome, but with eyes that carried a certain sadness. The little girl's laughter filled the cafe as she tugged on his hand, asking for a cupcake. Emily smiled softly and looked back at her phone. Still no message. 7:15. The chocolate had cooled. Her smile began to fade as the minutes ticked by. 7:25. She refreshed the chat again. Nothing. Then her phone buzzed. Her heart leapt, until she read the message. "Hey, I saw you. I didn't know you were, you know. Sorry. Not what I expected." Her breath caught in her throat. She blinked once, twice, as the words sank in like shards of ice. People around her laughed and talked, oblivious to the storm that had just broken inside her chest. She typed back, "You mean not what you hoped for." But he didn't reply. She felt the tears burn, but she refused to let them fall. She stared out the window again, at the reflection of herself, a woman who dared to believe in something better. The reflection blurred as her eyes welled up. That's when the little girl appeared beside her table. "Hi," the child chirped. "Are you okay? You look sad." Emily blinked, startled. "Oh, I'm fine, sweetheart." The little girl frowned. "Daddy says when people say they're fine, they're not." Emily looked up, smiling despite herself. "Your daddy sounds very wise." The man in the suit walked over, clearly embarrassed. "Lila, honey, I told you not to bother people." "She's not bothered," the girl insisted. "She's lonely." The man turned to Emily, his expression softening. "I'm so sorry. She's a bit too curious for her own good." "It's okay," Emily said quietly. "She's sweet." He nodded and was about to walk away when he noticed the untouched cup of hot chocolate and the dampness in Emily's eyes. Something in him, something buried deep, shifted. He paused. "Would you mind if we joined you?" he asked suddenly. "It seems like we both got stood up tonight. My daughter wanted to have a cupcake with someone nice, and you seem like someone nice." Emily hesitated, then smiled. "Sure." The little girl squealed with delight and climbed into the seat opposite her, while the man sat down gently beside her. "I'm Daniel," he said, offering his hand. "And this is Lila." "I'm Emily." "Emily," Lila repeated happily. "That's a pretty name. Daddy, can we get her a cupcake too?" Daniel chuckled softly. "If Emily wants one, sure." Emily laughed, a sound that surprised even her. "You don't have to, really." "But we want to," Lila said with the sincerity only a child could have. The waiter brought cupcakes, and for the first time that night, Emily felt something warm blooming again inside her chest. Lila talked about her school, her favorite cartoons, and how she missed her mom, who was with the angels. Daniel listened with patience, smiling through the ache in his eyes. When Lila ran to the counter to look at more pastries, Daniel turned to Emily. "You were waiting for someone," he said gently. Emily nodded. "Yes, I guess, not anymore." He didn't press for details, but his expression told her he understood more than she'd said. "People can be cruel sometimes," he murmured. She shrugged. "I just hoped someone would see me for me. Not this." She gestured slightly to her chair. Daniel leaned forward. "Can I tell you something? My daughter's mother was in a wheelchair before she passed away. She was the strongest person I ever knew." The chair didn't make her less, it showed how much she'd already survived. Emily froze, the words sinking deep into her. I used to think strength was about what you could do, Daniel continued. Now I know it's about what you can endure, and still smile. Emily's throat tightened. She was lucky to have you. He smiled sadly. I think I was the lucky one. The conversation flowed easily after that. They talked about life, about loss, about hope. Hours passed, unnoticed. Lila returned with frosting on her cheeks, and Emily couldn't help but laugh. Daddy, can we come here again with Emily? The little girl asked suddenly. Daniel hesitated, then smiled. If Emily wants to, I'd like that, Emily said softly. By the time they left, the rain had stopped. Daniel insisted on walking her to her car, holding the umbrella above her. She noticed how gently he spoke, how he didn't flinch or pity her when he helped her with the car door. For once, she felt like a woman, not a broken thing someone had to accommodate. As they said goodbye, Lila hugged her tightly. Bye, Emily, you're my new friend. Emily hugged her back. Bye, Lila. Daniel hesitated, then said, you know, Lila's school is having a charity art auction next week. We could really use someone with your eye. You mentioned you paint. Emily blinked. How did you? He smiled. You had paint stains on your fingers when we sat down. She laughed. Guilty. Then it's a date, he said, then quickly added, a professional one, of course. She smiled. Of course. But when he walked away, she couldn't help the flutter in her chest. A week later, Emily found herself standing in front of a crowd at the charity event, well, sitting, but standing in spirit. Her paintings hung on the walls, glowing under soft lights. Daniel and Lila waved from the front row. When her name was announced as the top-selling artist of the night, she looked out and saw Daniel smiling proudly. The applause echoed through her soul. For the first time in years, she felt seen, not for her wheelchair, but for her art, her strength, her heart. After the event, Daniel approached her. I told you people would love your work. Emily blushed. You were right. He hesitated, then said softly, you know, Lila asked me something yesterday. She said, Daddy, can Emily be part of our family someday? Emily's eyes widened, a smile tugging at her lips. Oh, he laughed nervously. I told her, maybe. If Emily wanted that, there was silence between them, gentle, full of unspoken hope. Daniel, she said finally, I've spent years thinking no one could look at me and see more than this chair. But when you look at me, he finished her sentence softly, I see you. Tears glimmered in her eyes. Then maybe, she whispered, you can tell Lila, maybe someday is possible. He smiled, eyes softening. I think she'd like that very much. Months passed. The cafe became their favorite spot. Lila always ordered the same cupcake, and Emily always laughed when Daniel pretended not to like sweets but still stole a bite. What began as a moment of kindness turned into something neither of them had expected, a second chance at love, at healing, at family. One evening, as they sat by the same window where they'd first met, Daniel reached across the table and took her hand. You know, that night, I thought I was the one helping you, he said quietly. But really, you helped me. How? She asked softly. You reminded me that broken things can still be beautiful. That hope doesn't die, it just waits for the right person to see it again. Emily's heart swelled. And you reminded me that kindness can change everything. He smiled, leaning closer. Then let's keep changing everything. Together. Outside, the rain began to fall again, but this time, Emily didn't mind. Because sometimes, love doesn't come when you expect it. Sometimes it finds you when you've stopped looking, when you think your story has already ended. But for Emily, her story had only just begun. And in the reflection of the cafe window, she no longer saw a woman waiting to be loved. She saw a woman who had found it, unexpectedly, beautifully, and completely.